G'day everyone, in this video I'll be showing you how I made these very cool tentacle handles for the boat. From making them out of clay, the silicone mold process, and then cold casting them in resin, and then working on the individual finish of them. These are the silicone molds here. They're a bit dirty right now, but yeah, you can get up to 50 uses out of these guys. I'll quickly run through the finished process. This one here has been cast with brass powder, then very lightly spray painted black and then polished with ultrafine steel wool. This one here has similarly been cast with the brass powder, both of these, and then using ammonia, salt and vinegar I created this patina on it, and I think it looks really, really cool. That's definitely my favorite set. And then these ones here have just been cast in the resin and then painted black and lightly brushed with brass paint. All of these are actually being sold online to help a bit with the refit of the boat that's coming up. This is part of that. So this is the new wheel for the boat, which I restored from a very old rundown antique. I'll be making a video about that shortly. So this is the easy part. It just takes a long time to sculpt and make the clay tentacles. I'm using a water-based clay here, and it worked perfectly for this sort of stuff with silicone molds. Alright, I've got the silicone mold there, two-part silicone mold. Got the catalyst and the silicone rubber, measuring equipment, steering equipment. And we've got the clay sculpts of the tentacle handles here. Right, so I've got some ease release here. It's just like a debonding agent. With this silicone, you add a 5% catalyst to the silicone rubber. Here for each box, I used around 1,800 milliliters of silicone mixture. Once it dried, the silicone mold was a bit thin in some areas, but it still all worked out fine. Alright, time to pour the rest of it. The only problem I had was that some of the smaller holes in the tentacles didn't fill properly with the silicone mixture. I think the best way to deal with this is to brush the insides of the holes with silicone before pouring the full mixture in. Right, now I'm just going to cut around where the silicone is seeped in. And then we'll get the mold. Alright, it's coming out in pieces now. And the mold looks perfect. Awesome. Very good. As you can see it's gotten into the grooves nicely and made a pattern all around the side. Really, really good. It's even got the double circles in the middle, in between. Perfect. Alright, let's get the rest of it out. Take a look. Same process for the smaller handles. I used a 1 kilogram container of silicone for this one. Okay, it is 8 hours or 7 hours later, and it is pretty hard. So we're going to open it up, see what's inside. Look at that! Perfect! And then when I want to make the cast, I put 2 elastic bands around there. I've just flowed some water through it into here and it doesn't rise up through here, so hopefully the resin does the same thing and it's fine. And it is more viscous than water, so I think it should be fine. And the incision is just in there. And I sort of did it a bit jagged so that the silicone sort of meshes together. Perfect. Awesome. Right, so it's been a week now since I finished the silicone molds. And I've just been experimenting with a bunch of different finishes for the handles. So yeah, we're just going to cast the opposites of these now in the silicone molds. So yeah, we'll get to it. Here I've just lined the walls of the silicone with brass powder, mixed the resin and then poured it inside the molds. I used around 650 milliliters of resin for each mold and 200 milliliters for the smaller handle. Okay, so they've all been casted in the resin now. The resin's done. Now we have to wait for 8 hours for them to fully dry. It says 8 hours. I find it's usually about 12. Okay, so it's the next morning. Taking around the silicone molds, and yeah, when they come out of the molds, they're like this really gross sort of mustard yellow color. That's going to be fine though. Once we put the finishes on them, they're going to look completely different. So I screwed this part up for days. It's important to get the right ratio of ammonia, salt and vinegar. In my experience, if you add too much salt, it won't patina well. I used 100 milliliters of vinegar and half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt. Mix them well and soak the cast with it. Then sprinkle some salt on the cast like you would on a steak. Put some ammonia at the bottom of the container and create an airtight seal. I sprayed this one a little too heavy with the black paint, but all good. I just wipe it down and then polish it with the ultrafine steel wool. You can see on the side there that the homemade patina is already starting to work its magic. I let that patina for 12 hours. And there it is guys, the finished product. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and found it somewhat helpful. This is my last day of quarantine, so I'll be refitting the boat soon and making some videos. So cheers for watching guys and stay tuned.